over checks to distribute to some of the school systems on eBay. And it's money that we've raised over the course of the year via the Mike Shop and the Bargain Bazaar and various other fundraisers. And we were able to travel to the different schools with the assistance of the Minister of Education from Majuro. And we were able to pass out funds. They generally send in a grant at the beginning of the year, and then the grant specifies what their interest, what they need the money for, and then they can pick and choose what they can apply it to. It's not just a women's club anymore. We are actually open to anybody that wants to come join our club. Come join the club.
As part of the fun of the Labor Day weekend, residents of Kwajalein raced their homemade cardboard boats at the Cardboard Regatta. With 3 races, one for the little ones, one for the older kids, and finally, the adult race. With the little competition, Estrella won the race due to their competitor failing to complete. But who could blame them? I wouldn't trust that cardboard either. The second race was much more competitive.
Go, go!
But even though the Estrella boat won again, I think the real winner was the water itself, taking multiple victims in the race. Lastly was the adult race, with a couple quickly stopped in their tracks, while other boats had quite the speed. But ultimately, Estrella came to take all the victories when it came to racing. Other categories were for most dramatic shipwrecks, with the cockroaches who got way off course and ultimately did make it to the finish line, taking home that coconut. And the final category going to Mateo's Titanic for best design. They may have failed the race, but they looked good doing it. Who would have guessed the Titanic wrecked? All in all, it was a great event full of entertainment for both the competitors and spectators, full of ingenuity, creativity, and personality. A personal favorite of the events here on Kwaj.
Kwajalein's own Alyssa England achieved the 2020-2021 Overseas Military Youth of the Year Award, the top honor bestowed upon by the Boys and Girls Club of America affiliated youth centers on U.S. military installations worldwide. AFN Kwajalein had the opportunity to talk with England, learning more about what this award entails. So what is the Youth of the Year Award?
Youth of the Year is sponsored through BGCA, and one of their main sponsors is Toyota, but BGCA itself puts on the event, and they've been around for over 70 years. And Youth of the Year is selected through a long process, lots of different levels. And the National Youth of the Year and the other local ones represents the voice of youth around the world and youth in their region and nation. So it's being the advocate and being the voice of other youth.
Now, how did you get involved in this?
So when it first started out, it wasn't something that I really knew a lot about. I had heard Youth of the Year. My friend Mackenzie had actually competed 2 years prior. So it's something I had heard about, but I didn't know how it worked or what it really represented. And AJ, who worked at the teen center at the time, said, I think this is something you should try and do. I think you should at least apply and see where it goes from there. And so I applied. I got it for our local level. And the longer I was in it, the more I kind of figured out what it was, and it really grew on me, and it's something that I said, this is something I want to do now.
What did you have to do to get to this point in the competition?
So for the application itself, it consisted of writing essays, getting a few letters of recommendation, and the essays were really about you and your experiences and kind of why you want to make a difference in others' lives and how you got to this point so far. So it was really all about you. It's nothing that you had to research. And once I got accepted on the local level, you then had to write a speech for the next competition, and it consisted of what have you overcome and how has BGCA helped you get there, along with your local teen center and staff.
What does winning this honor mean to you?
It's really inspiring for me, and I'm hoping that it also inspires others to not only do the things you think you can do, but go after the things that you're not sure about, saying maybe this is me, maybe it isn't, and going after that even if you're not sure.
What are your hopes and goals going forward from here?
I'm going into the National Military Youth of the Year competition at the end of September, so hoping that goes well. But besides that, even if I don't make it any farther, I just hope to continue to have a close enough tie with BGCA that I can make a difference not only here, but also in the lives of other youth around the nation.
What college are you thinking about putting the scholarship money towards?
So I'm beginning applications, should be turning those in next month, and I'm mainly looking in the Northeast, University of Connecticut, University of North Carolina, somewhere in that region, and I'm hoping to go into physical therapy, so a school with that program.
What recommendations would you give to kids who want to enter this program?
Just go after it, even if you're not sure. Just be yourself, be honest, and others will see that you really do have a passion for it and you're really doing it from the heart. And that's what matters, doing it for yourself and doing it for others.
At the beginning of the month of September, AFN had Mr. Bob Scholar come in to talk about his perspective of the events of September 11, 2001.
Yes, so the 8-hour time difference, the events were happening in mid-morning on the East Coast, and it was the middle of the night here. So most of us were sound asleep when the events actually happened. When you live at Kwaj, there's the telltale ring, conspicuous ring that you go, oh, long distance. So when that comes in the middle of the night, it's generally concerning. Anyway, we got the long call, and you start worrying about, has there been an accident in my family? Am I about to hear some bad news? And but my wife got up first. And I was rousing myself, and the local time might have been 2 in the morning, and fairly quickly, and I hadn't quite pulled myself out of bed, and we lived at quarters 457A, which is a 2-story duplex right over by Surfway, and so upstairs and downstairs, so at a pretty short time, my wife came back up and said, Bob, you better come down here. And I got up quickly at that point, and I came down the stairs, and I didn't know whether it was going to be something on the phone, but what it had been, it was my sister calling us to say to turn on the news. So I walked down the stairs, and our TV was located just around the corner, not far from the front door. So I come down the stairs, and I don't know if I'm going to hear bad family news. And on the TV was one of those classic images, color, the after effect of a plane striking the Trade Center, and the smoke and the fire and the debris. It was pretty high quality TV. So I'm sure there were people in the U.S. that had the same no preparation for just what a horrible thing had happened, and I remember unimaginably horrible. And I remember after it was all over, my boss at the time had been in a hotel in Hawaii, and he told me that when he saw it on television, he assumed that he had flipped to a horror movie, that it was a horror movie showing, and he just couldn't imagine anything that horrific could be real. But so my wife and I sat on the couch and held hands, and it was so easy immediately to try to, you had to empathize with the people, trying to imagine the people on the planes, you know, oh my gosh, I'm on aboard a hijacked plane, but it's really a horrific. All of us could empathize with the progression of awareness, and for the planes that hit the Trade Center, you know, you're flying conspicuously low and at a very high speed, and that moment when they realized, oh my gosh, it's probably my end is about to happen, and it's so easy for us to empathize, and of course, you know, the whole nation was shocked, and I remember riding to work that morning up Lagoon Road, and I was passing people and just somber looks and no smiles with greetings, and so we're all struggling with our thoughts, and seeing those images over and over again. And later that day, I saw a press piece by a Pulitzer-winning writer named Leonard Pitts Jr., and he wrote this in the Miami Herald. And anyway, it caught, you know, how do you express that level of horror and also anger, and without resorting to vulgarity and profanity and losing control? Leonard Pitts Jr., he said, "They pay me to provide words that help make sense of that which troubles the American soul. But in this moment of airless shock, when hot tears sting, disbelieving eyes, the only thing I can find to say, the only words that seem to fit, must be addressed to the unknown author of this suffering. You monster, you beast, you unspeakable bastard. What lesson did you hope to teach us by your coward's attack on our World Trade Center, our Pentagon, us? What was it that you hoped we would learn? Whatever it was, please know that you failed." And I've been a fan of Leonard Pitts Jr. ever since, and his article goes on to, it's lengthy, but that gets you the gist of the message. And I remember my personal reflection later on that day, being a believer, humble about the world of STEM, and, you know, what's transpired in the last 200 years. You know, 200 years ago, 1820, if someone had seen today with flying machines, and then learning we put a man on the moon 50 years ago, I remember, and all the technology, you know, that happened, Edison's stuff in the 1800s. But I remember thinking, the optimistic thing I could get out of it was, if America has, the U.S. and the world has all these creative minds pursuing science, new technology, amazing things that would have seemed, in 1820, some of the capabilities today would have seemed supernatural, like you'll be able to fly on a plane from London to New York in several hours, and eat prepared food and watch recorded images, movies. Oh, the movie wouldn't have been a word back then. But I remember thinking, if necessity is the mother of invention, we as a nation and our national defense apparatus is going to put an acute focus on developing the kind of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities that would have been able to detect this and stop it. And I hope we've made very good progress. Maybe not of it's all public, but
Thank you, Mr. Scholar, for coming in to speak with us about your perspective of the events of that tragic day.
Yeah, Mom, there's not much going on around here. It's typically pretty boring. I just kind of sit around watching TV. But
Dude, I cannot believe I got all this done in one day.
And where have you been?
Well, I played soccer. I went to Emmon Beach. I went to a cultural event. I played golf. I tie-dyed this shirt.
How did you hear about any of that?
Oh, it was on the roller.
The what?
-5.
Ah!